This is the Ruckus and The Menace Sports Podcast.
Oh no! We suck again!
I'm getting confused. What game are you calling?
I'm calling both games.
It is caught by Kelsey! Touchdown! Kansas City!
I need 3 of those things, baby. We ain't done yet. We ain't done yet.
You like that? You like that? I like that.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ruckus and The Menace Sports Podcast, episode number 97. I am Ruckus, always causing a ruckus.
I'm Ruckus and The Menace.
And on this episode, we'll do the starting lineup, which is our transaction log of sorts, our good, bad, and ugly Eastwood segment, our high heat, where we talk playoffs, both NBA and NHL playoffs, and then we'll be going into the high heat for more when it comes to the NFL draft for our summary there. And then we go to the color commentary where we talk a little bit more in depth about what we think about the top NFL drafted prospects and whatnot. And then we wrap it up with our stud and dud. Spennis, how you doing? What's shaking?
We're doing good. We're doing good over here. I mean, softball's kind of kicked in. We're 2-2 right now as far as team games go, but finding I got some pop in the bat still, so I'm at least being able to see the ball, hit the ball, field it a little better today than I had much of the season. So progress is coming back, and the big fella's still got it. But other than that, why don't we just get right into it here, Ruckus, and set ourselves up with the starting lineup and the transaction log, as Mystic Dan won the Kentucky Derby on Saturday, one of the Triple Crown in horse racing. But out of the three, the one that probably everybody talks about and carries the most prestige is right there at Churchill Downs in Lexington, Kentucky, as the Kentucky Derby gets run. And we had a winner, and I believe I was seeing something that Mystic Dan may skip the Preakness, which is actually closer up to my neck of the woods, because the Preakness is in Baltimore, in the Baltimore area.
Is Mystic Dan the horse of Jason Worth, or was that a different thing altogether?
I'm not too sure.
I heard something about how Jason Worth was in the horse racing business. I wonder if his side hustle is It looks like no, I don't think it was. Yeah, it was not Mystic Dan. It was actually Dornock. Well, at least we know that Jason Worth has a part-time job at a glue factory.
Yep. Well, and he ended up actually, he was a co-owner of Dornock who came out of the number one post. So pretty nice to have the bearded one who played for both the Phillies and the Nationals. Actually, we found second life out of him with with kind of the thoroughbred horse biz. So shout out to Jason Worth. Why don't we go right into the next piece here of OBJ saying hello to MIA. That's
why he's gonna be whenever he first touches the field over at Hard Rock. He's gonna get the hard truth and be humbled, be murdered in action on the field, torn ACL, first game. Let's go.
He's gonna try and be Mr. 305, but I think Pitbull will find some way to retain his title.
Mr. Worldwide, you know what time it is.
But on to the hardwood news. As Candace Parker is retiring from the WNBA. I don't think that was too much of a surprise because Parker is getting a little older. But I think that it was perfect timing, especially because she was a generational talent in her day.
She looks like she's like in her 30s, not even 38. Like she looks good for 38. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, that's due to a certain other thing that normally comes with the skin tone, as it doesn't crack. But that's beside the point. But Candace Parker, I think she'll probably go right into basketball analysis and just stay there. Probably even doing college basketball analysis.
Yeah.
And it does an excellent job of, and I think more so in her case, her retirement, though Diana Taurasi is in her 20th season, I think Candace Parker's retirement, I think ultimately will pave the way for this new class coming in. Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, Cardoso, this huge class that's coming in. Candace Parker, I think, ultimately opens the door for these greats to kind of shine on their own in retirement.
Let me keep going on that note.
Because I believe Diana Taurasi is playing at 41.
Is she still playing?
I believe she is still playing.
I think another thing with this Candace Parker thing is it's probably a good time for her to hang up the sneakers because she has a 14-year-old daughter. I just looked it up. I was wondering if she had kids because I don't think I've ever heard or seen her mention her kids. But I also don't really follow the WNBA, so.
But then also, high school hoops is going to be to kind of help train her, really get that going up, and prepare for another Parker to enter that class. Diana Taurasi is so well decorated that I am very shocked that she's decided to play another year with the Phoenix Mercury. But it does not surprise me in the slightest.
I guess she would become like the LeBron of the WNBA at that point.
Well, but I think that though Diana Taurasi is that, believe Diana Taurasi is, I think, more decorated. I think Diana Taurasi may be more decorated. Well, a 3-time WNBA champion, 2-time WNBA Finals MVP, one-time WNBA MVP. But of course, the WNBA does have a lot of other pieces there. Her nickname being the White Mamba, coined by Kobe Bryant. So she ended up with that cosign from Kobe Bryant. But it's also one of these things where I think she's just trying to catch Sue Bird as far as titles.
Yeah. Did we talk about Wemby yet?
No, we have not talked about Wemby yet. As Wemby has done something that only 5 other NBA players have done. And he will be the first since Karl Anthony Towns did it in 2016. As he becomes the Rookie of the Year by a unanimous vote. Congratulations to Wemby, as he really has somehow in this first year lived up to the billing that everyone was bringing about to him.
Dude literally looks like Slim from A Bug's Life. The the walking stick.
The walking stick. Yeah. Yeah, he basically is such like a slender guy. I'm wondering if his health and his knees will hold up for a long-term career. But I also feel that if you want to talk about big men and having long careers, I think he has gone to far and away the best coach in the NBA in terms of allowing big men to have these long careers. As Greg Popovich also has coached a pair of 7-footers in David Robinson and Tim Duncan, who both had very long and prestigious careers.
Who also had a prestigious career is our next person coming up. So Sunday night, whenever this is coming out, Tom Brady was roasted on Netflix on a live event, and it was a success in my book. As
it
Kevin Hart
was a very net success. Yep.
Kevin Hart was the host of it, and there were a lot of times he randomly snapped at Tom Brady by saying "F you, Tom," and it was hilarious pretty much every time until later. But Gronk was there, Bill Belichick was there,
Randy Moss, Julian Edelman.
Yes. And then Tom Segura and his co-host Bert Krishna were also there.
Kreischer. Yeah, Bert Kreischer. Yep.
That's a running joke, is you mispronounce it on purpose. And then Sam J and a few others were there too. A lot of former teammates for sure. I thought it was good. Other than that, what do we have for upcoming content?
All right, so our upcoming stuff, March to October runs for MLB The Show are still in progress. We are releasing weekly, I on Thursday and Ruckus on Friday. We are working through, like, I would say our gameplay-wise, we're kind of right around the same point as far as where we're recording. I know that I still need to go back and do some things on an episode, but you'll have a fun one from me here in a few weeks, as I am going to have to release mine in a weird split for a reason that I will not spoil to you, but there will be one that is going to be on a weird split. Just knowing that something weird is going to happen. We have no episode on May 20th. So this is going to be in 2 weeks. We will not have an episode. I will have some other things going on after a softball game, but Ruckus has notably a major life thing to announce as we approach this moment.
I have something to say. So, for the past really month or so, I have been looking at finally moving out of my parents' house, and I have closed on a home, and that'll be around that time in May, in 2 weeks, around that May 20th time frame. And I'm excited to announce that I will have a house soon, and that'll be I'm kind of holding my breath on it for now, because it's kind of like I don't get the keys to the house yet, and I still have to do other things. But I think I'll be a lot happier once I've fully moved in and settled. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been holding on to since last episode, that Spennis kind of alluded to. But yeah, I will be dealing with that in a couple weeks.
Yep, we will have those major pieces along the way. You will still have your regularly scheduled March to October content.
Also, we do have an episode next week. It's just the week after that.
We will have an episode next week, so this announcement will come around. Will come around again, but we are kind of letting you know well in advance that there will be no episode at around that particular time. And now we move on to the Eastwood segment. Our good, our bad, and the ugly.
Alright, I played it twice for good measure because I thought you were alley-ooping that to me when you said, here's our Eastwood segment, and then I went, wah! And then all of a sudden it was the good, the bad, and then it just like played over that. So I was like, damn it, okay. Well, I played it twice. Alright, that could be considered downright ugly. But anyways, what is good this week, Svennis?
And I'm going to say that the good this week actually involves two players from professional sports teams in Texas. The Houston Texans quarterback C.J. Stroud and Dallas Cowboys defensive end Micah Parsons traveled all the way across the world to Asia in a trip that involved teaching Chinese how to play football, throwing out a first pitch at the Tokyo Dome, or at least in Tokyo, and also having sumo wrestling training, or at least going up against sumo wrestlers, where even there was a round where Micah Parsons got a win.
Dude, that would sound so awesome to go to the Tokyo Dome. Like, yes, I went there around the end of the summer last year, and it was a lot of fun, a lot of air conditioning going on, the whole scenery of it, and just the whole venue itself is just awesome. And a very historic area.
Along with C.J. Stroud's quote of like everybody wants to be a baseball player. Because
and it's very popular in Japan and Korea too, not just the United States.
Oh yeah, because some of the greats that come out of these Asian countries come here to play Major League Baseball. I mean, guys like Shohei,
Hideki Matsui.
Yeah, Matsui.
Darvish.
Ichiro. Yu Darvish. I think on the Korean side,
Hyun Ryu.
Yeah, Hyun Ryu. I think Hee-seok Choi at one point.
Hai Sung Kim. Ji-Man Choi.
Jung-Hoon Lee. Yeah, you've got all these international players. They're not just coming from Latin America. They're coming from Asia as well. There's a lot of great
Dominican.
Yeah, that I was considering that really in Latin America, because even though it's in the Caribbean, even if it's in the Caribbean, you've got like it's kind of in that Latin America area.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. So you're getting a lot of great talent from various places throughout the world. And it's really starting to get noticed. And the bad in sports this week, and again, once more with feeling, we talked about this a long, long time ago, maybe about a few months ago when they first decided to do this in retiring the City Connect jerseys, which is the dumbest idea because that's one of the best ones there is out there. It is the look of the pullover jersey of the Washington Nationals. Sorry, I love my Major League Baseball jerseys having buttons on the front of them. It just looks classic. It just looks clean. you all of a sudden will randomly see the shirt open. Like, you could randomly see the shirt open up. Or at least they kind of can wear it as... Yeah, like, the button, it makes it so much easier to... Like, it feels like that just has a little bit more of, like, that traditional look that you just love seeing with baseball as a whole. And the pullover jersey is kind of, although it bucks the trend, the uniform just looks more basic than a white girl drinking Starbucks.
Dude, it looks like something that you would see like in the clothing section or sports section of a Walmart whenever they're trying to sell like
it just looks generic. It's like as if you're wearing the plain Jane 2K shoes. Except in jersey form.
I bet you that jersey's like $40 at Walmart right now.
I'm shocked that Nike would even want to try and sell that generic look for triple digits.
Well,
like,
I mean, it could be worse.
How does it get worse than that?
If you remember back in the day, and this is way off topic by the way, but whenever Kanye was selling like really worn out or clothing that looked like a hobo would wear and sell that for like thousands of dollars, I feel like that's worse.
He just tries to claim that's high-end fashion anyway. But Kanye has been on the Delulu for years.
And was a gay fish, allegedly.
I knew where you went with that. It just wasn't necessarily called for. Alright, and the downright ugly this week, though I will go into a little bit more around the time whenever we get to it in the high heat, which will be soon, is that the Lakers fired their entire coaching staff, including Darvin Ham. It's like as if the Lakers have been going through a coaching carousel, and most of this, I feel right now, has no one to blame except for DM LeBron.
Did they fire Ham on Taco Tuesday? Or no?
I can't remember what day of the week it was that Darvin Ham got fired.
Man, the Lakers really went ham on Darvin, I tell you what.
Oh my gosh. We're just lobbing up softballs of terrible jokes.
That's just my crappy dad jokes. Spoiler alert, I'm not a dad. Alright, high heat. We're talking playoffs.
Technically neither am I, but who am I to really care about this at the moment?
I just make crappy dad jokes. You're welcome, everybody. Anyways, let's turn the page to the playoffs. Spanish, do you want to talk about the NBA play-in recap and whatnot?
I was going to let you roll with the NHL, but
all right, I can do the NHL.
Because I am still kind of stunned at the exact terribleness of whatever joke you just tried to throw.
All right, we'll just quickly flash that and pretend like that never happened, like Men in Black style. All right, NHL. NHL playoffs. So, first round, you have the Dallas Stars and the Vegas Knights, and the Dallas Stars took that one surprisingly. The Winnipeg Jets lose 4-1 to the Colorado Avalanche in round one. The Vancouver Canucks beat the Nashville Predators 4-2.
Yep, that's the Preds. Yep.
And then the Edmonton Oilers beat the Los Angeles Kings 4-1. And then on the other side, you had the Florida Panthers versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. Florida wins that one. Boston Bruins beat the Toronto Maple Leafs barely, 4-3 in round one. The New York Rangers absolutely crapped all over the Washington Capitals, 4-0.
No surprise. An aging OV, I think the Capitals are preparing themselves for a rebuild.
The Capitals were playing No Surprise by Daughtry on the way out. The Carolina Hurricanes beat the New York Islanders 4-1. So, now we get to round two. Round two, you have the Dallas Stars and the Colorado Avalanche. That series has not started yet, really. It is still 0-0. The Vancouver Canucks and the Edmonton Oilers face off in round two as well, and they have not started yet. The another series that hasn't really started yet is the Florida Panthers versus the Bruins. And then we get to the first winner in the round two as the New York Rangers take game one against the Carolina Hurricanes.
And I think if you remember me talking to Saul in Before the Liberty Goes Cold, I did mention that my initial assessment of the Stanley Cup Finals, I had thought and kind of looked and tried to give like a slight prognostication that I had said that the final was going to be between the Carolina Hurricanes and the Edmonton Oilers, if I remember this correctly.
Also, just a news update just now. The Bruins take game one against the Panthers 5-1.
Yeah, that wasn't surprising me. I think we were kind of like getting ready for that game to be wrapped up anyway.
And then tomorrow, aka when this episode, the day the episode airs, at 8:30 Central Time, is when the Avalanche face the Stars. So some interesting things happening in the sports world, in the hockey world, I should say.
All right, and on to the NBA playoffs. There were 16 teams when we were first talking about all of this just a couple short weeks ago, last episode, as the play-in games had already been completed at around that time. However, in starting with the Western Conference, the Oklahoma City Thunder, pretty much just went and brought their brooms out and swept the New Orleans Pelicans, the Dallas Mavericks stun the Clippers and take the series in 6. The Minnesota Timberwolves also brought out their brooms and swept away Kevin Durant and the Phoenix Suns. And the end result that set up Darvin Ham to be fired, the Denver Nuggets pretty much eviscerated the Lakers in 5 games. The current game now playing is the Timberwolves and Nuggets in the semifinal. And the Timberwolves are currently up 56-33, getting ready to head into halftime of game 1. Or no, of game 2.
Yeah, they already won the first one.
And the Timberwolves are currently leading this series 1-0. I think that is going to be a very entertaining series the whole way. I think it's going to be a very entertaining one the whole way. Especially if Jokic can do well. But it is difficult for him because he's playing against not one, but 2 big men as the Timberwolves also have Rudy Gobert to go along with Karl Anthony Towns. So it's more so, how will Nikola Jokic deal with the Twin Towers of Minnesota? The Oklahoma City Thunder and Dallas Mavericks will kick off their series on whenever this releases at 9:30 on the 7th of May. The Eastern Conference. The the Boston Celtics.
Same thing.
Yeah, it's Boston sports, but of course my Red Sox are still doing pretty well, but not quite as well as the Boston Celtics, as they defeated the Miami Heat in 5 games. The Indiana Pacers stunned the Milwaukee Bucks, even though they did not. I think they played a good amount of that without Giannis. And the Pacers won that series in 6 games. The New York Knicks defeated the Philadelphia 76ers in 6 games. And the most interesting series of the postseason so far had to be the Cleveland Cavaliers and Orlando Magic. As everyone complained about the Cleveland Cavaliers deciding to, quote unquote, tank their way down into playing in the 4 seed instead of having to deal with the Philadelphia 76ers. The Cavaliers defeated the Magic in 7 games. It was a very back and forth series. And now the Cavaliers will take on the Celtics at 7 p.m. on Tuesday. And game 2 for the Pacers and Knicks will be on Wednesday, with the Knicks leading the series 1-0, picking up the victory in game 1. Earlier today, 121-117. I think we've got ourselves a very interesting playoff scenario. I had the Thunder and Celtics making their way to the final, but the Minnesota Timberwolves are dominating the Nuggets, and they look much more dominant than I thought they would be in the postseason at the present moment. But just when you think the high heat was done, we aren't done yet, because we got to talk about the NFL draft. And recapping, primarily for us in the high heat, the first round of the draft. And we're going to kind of work our way down as the picks were selected and kind of answer a certain question. The first one here is that the top 3 picks of the first round were quarterbacks. Williams went number 1 to Chicago, Jaden Daniels number 2 to DC, and Drake May at number 3 to New England. So my question to you, Ruckus, is which of the 3 is most likely to become a success in their new situation?
I am looking to see in my eyes. So that's kind of a tough one, because last year we thought CJ Stroud was gonna have a tough year, especially after that first preseason game against the Raiders, I believe.
And Stroud looked magnificent by the time the middle of the year came along.
Dude looked like he been playing in the league for a couple of years after that. I think that I hope that Caleb Williams doesn't suffer the same fate as what Bryce Young did his rookie year. I think their offensive line might be non-existent still for the Bears. The Commanders probably about the same with Daniels, but we'll see how he adapts to the NFL. Drake May, I think, has a better time with his offensive line. They have some wide receiver weapons still. They have Kendrick Bourne, and a few other guys, and they still have Juju Smith-Schuster, but time will tell on him. But I think the best one out of these three is probably gonna be Caleb Williams because of the weapons he has at his disposal. Because he just got his new teammate that also got drafted with them in Odunze, Romeo, however you pronounce him.
Roma Dunze, yep.
Yeah, and you have Keenan Allen, which is a proven vet. I don't know how he'll transition to the Bears, but we'll see. And then you have DJ Moore as well.
And you still have DJ Moore. You still also have DJ Moore and Cole Kmet. However, yep. I think what's very interesting here is that while I am hopeful of Jaden Daniels succeeding, I think it is going to be very interesting how this manages to come along. I believe that Drake May lacks the wide receiver firepower to have effective success early. I believe that I'm also a believer in the sense of that I think Caleb Williams' affinity for the spectacular is going to kind of be a reason that I think the Bears kind of get held back a little bit more. So I'm going to say out of the three, I think that probably the one that will see success, especially early, is going to be Jaden Daniels. If Williams decides to get out of the hero era that he wants to try and be in and start playing a legitimate quarterback, I think Williams maybe in the longer term finds his success. But I think the best one that's kind of got the upfront look might be Jaden Daniels. We knew that the Cardinals were going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. at 4, but our next major question comes at number 5. The Los Angeles Chargers take Joe Alt at 5. The question here is, should the Chargers have looked at a wide receiver, or do we have more of a thought that Joe Alt was the best pick for them?
I think the Chargers are in a restructure year as far as contracts go. So I think what the cheapest thing they could have done, but also the best thing they could have done, was protect Justin Herbert, the guy that they just gave a massive contract to a couple years back. They need to keep him protected because the Chargers could have legitimately had a chance if Herbert wasn't hurt with his throwing hand. And historically, they haven't really had great pass protection for Herbert, and that showed. So it's good and also cheap for now to have a young offensive tackle that can play the position and guard his blind side, I believe. So I think it's a good thing.
But isn't that what you have, like a Rashawn Slater who might be able to move over for? Isn't that kind of like what you have, like maybe a good tackle and maybe Rashawn Slater being to move over from possibly the right side to the left side?
I mean, I wasn't really saying it would be left tackle. I was just kind of guessing because it says offensive tackle on the draft tracker thing.
Oh, yeah. But
so, I mean, he could probably be a right tackle. Who knows?
Yeah, but here's my argument. My argument is more that I think the Chargers should have looked at a wide receiver in that spot. And here's why. You just lost 2 of them. You let Keenan Allen get traded away. You basically gave Mike Williams his pink slip. So you're counting on a rookie who has had questionable reliability in Quentin Johnston. You've got Josh Palmer and Jalen Guyton. Is that really going to be the 3 wide receiver core that Jim Harbaugh is going to seriously had wanted to bring in? It shouldn't have been.
I would so just another
You
thing.
could have
the
no,
Chiefs,
you could have jacked Malik Neighbors and intercepted him away and forced the Giants to have to shift. You could have taken Malik Neighbors and had yourself a premier wide receiver to go with Herbert and have Neighbors be able to get the rock.
maybe they saw something negative about Neighbors that they didn't want, and there's a reason why they probably didn't draft him. I think they were smart by going with the tackle because, in this time and around this league, your pass protection is what really helps you, and also your defense for sure. But I think the Chargers are probably okay with their wide receiver room, and they could still sign people if they need to or want to. So it's not the end of the world, but it definitely doesn't look great for their wide receiver room. But the Chiefs literally just did this and won back-to-back Super Bowls. So I mean, maybe they think that they could do the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, granted that I know Alt is going to be pretty good, but I really think that getting Herbert a weapon probably would have been what I thought to be the better option. 3 picks later, the Atlanta Falcons take Michael Penix Jr. at 8. Where do you feel the Atlanta Falcons' thought process was on this pick? Especially because they spent as much as they did for Kirk O'Bangs. Or Kirk O'Chain. Or I should say Kirk O'Chains.
I don't know what the hell Atlanta's doing. At the same time, I think Penix is a good red. This is a good time for him to redshirt. Penix could also have like that kind of scenario that Herbert had, where there's like a freak accident that happens to Cousins, and then he gets to start. You never know this day and age in the NFL. I think the Falcons scenario is definitely a lot better than what the Broncos are going through right now, since they literally traded Russell Wilson and still had to pay him like $45 million or $50 million a year, while while the Steelers get him for absolutely like nothing, pretty much like $1 million.
Yeah, but here's where I'm at. Is there something that we know of Kirk Cousins' recovery from his Achilles injury? Is there something that Atlanta doesn't know? Or at least that we don't know, that Atlanta knows? Is there something? Is this kind of also going along with the same type of philosophy that they would have, that Green Bay has done in getting a quarterback now so that you don't have to worry about? I mean, granted, why spend a top 10 pick on this? That's a little absurd. That's a reach.
Well,
he's grasping for a short straw, but is not tall enough to be able to get it.
Well, that and Michael Penix is literally one of the older quarterbacks in this room. He'll be 27 in 3 years if the Falcons decide to keep him and not trade him.
Yeah, so there is that. But are they looking to kind of have some sort of direction shift? Are they looking like we don't know fully what the Falcons front office was thinking. We're just majorly perplexed at even though quarterbacks were going off the board, why would you reach for that and then still have a void at defense, which we'll talk about later.
All right.
We move down a little further. The Vikings move up one spot to get J.J. McCarthy at 10. The Broncos stay put at 12 and take Bo Nix. Which one of those two quarterbacks do you feel will be more productive in their situation?
I think it'll be J.J. McCarthy because depending on how Justin Jefferson turns out, which I don't know if they're going to re-sign him or extend him or if he's going to hold out on an extension. Who the hell knows about that situation? But if Justin Jefferson is still there and he's healthy, I think J.J. McCarthy would be a good complement to Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I think J.J. McCarthy is the right quarterback that Minnesota went to grab to have Justin Jefferson be able to, number one, possibly have an interest of staying there. But number two, it's a much better situation than what Bo Nix would have in Denver. At 13, the Raiders go and take Brock Bowers. Should the Raiders have been more aggressive about potentially trading up into the quarterback race, even with Aiden O'Connell, who will be a second-year player, currently at the top spot of their quarterback depth chart? As yes, even referenced in the Tom Brady roast that the Raiders did the one great thing in getting rid of Jimmy Garoppolo.
I think the way the Raiders are right now, I think they're kind of set because they still have Gardner Minshew.
I mean, they have Minshew, but I don't know if Minshew is even, though he's good, I just don't know if he's necessarily a long-term starter.
Well, he's definitely a little ass boy or a little ass man. All right.
The first defensive player was taken by Indianapolis at 15 overall. Do we feel defensive players should have been drafted sooner by some teams higher up on the board? I especially agree with Atlanta at 8 choosing to do something with that. Yes. And then last but not least, the Chiefs eventually traded up to get Xavier Worthy. Does this help the wide receiver room in Kansas City in getting Mahomes a receiver with Tyreek Hill like burner speed?
Probably. We'll see.
I think it deepens the wide receiver room to go along with Rashee Rice.
And
we now move.
And speaking of Rashee Rice, it sounds like he may or may not get suspended, but we'll move on.
Yeah. But now we move on to more NFL draft situations. In situational awareness, we talked a little bit more about the top NFL quarterbacks drafted, some first-round wide receivers, but who are some players that we feel may be a diamond in the rough?
So I'll start that. I think, if anything, Jaden Daniels might be a diamond in the rough. I feel like JJ McCarthy might be roughed up a little bit at the start of his few games starting out. But I think Jaden's gonna be one of the silent killers. What do you think?
I think there's a diamond in the rough in Washington, though Jaden Daniels is going to be at any point, he's going to be pretty solid. But I think the main piece here that could be a solid winner for the Commanders is actually their third round pick in Luke McCaffrey. Yes, Christian McCaffrey's younger brother and another son of the former Bronco receiver Ed McCaffrey. If Luke is any bit like his father, he will find some sort of way to break into that wide receiver 3 spot and have a stranglehold on it. Daniels is going to be productive because he's going to have really about 3 or 4 different weapons he can go to, including and that's even excluding his running backs. Jaden Daniels is going to have a diverse amount of options. And Luke McCaffrey lines up better in the slot. So that gives a slot receiver so that Jahan Dotson and Terry McLaurin can take care of the splits. I feel that Luke McCaffrey is going to be somehow a diamond in the rough. Who are some teams that you feel may have won or at least have benefited more in the draft?
Honestly, I have no damn clue with that question because I would argue that the Chiefs had a good draft, but that's kind of debatable because we don't know what Xavier Worthy's going to look like or how he's going to play this season. Maybe I feel like the Bears probably won, especially because they got a steal in a wide receiver in a Dunze, and they got Caleb Williams, so that's kind of a steal there. I don't know who else would have really been considered the team that won the draft.
I think that the Philadelphia Eagles are a team that might be a low-key winner here in taking Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. And this is a backfield that already has Darius Slay and James Bradbury. They ended up getting Will Shipley. They got Jeremiah Trotter Jr. And they got Dylan McMahon, who they claim as baby Jason Kelsey, later in the round. Later in the 6th round. So Howie Roseman, I think, who is another orchestrator of making some pretty good decisions. I think the Eagles could be one. Washington, entirely possible. Picking up K-State tight end Ben Sinnott, and there's your Emaw. Luke McCaffrey from Rice. They picked up a bunch of different linebackers, safeties, some D-line. But really, it's going to come down to Jaden Daniels, Sinnott, and Luke McCaffrey to really have that be a major winner here. And then here we go with the losers from the draft. Who do we feel lost out in this draft?
The Falcons.
You know what I'm saying? The Falcons. I think it's the Falcons, especially Kirk Cousins. I think another one for me is that I think the Broncos and Panthers are made some very, very odd pieces of selection.
The Jets also were kind of not there.
Yeah. And then, of course, I'm seeing something here also of the Cleveland Browns also being a team that did not necessarily have great success with that either.
Yeah,
But
I mean, they kind of gave that up for Deshaun Jackson. Or not Deshaun Jackson, Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Jackson, wow. I know you were wanting to say Watson there, but
Damn.
but man, you went trying to give up all that for a wide receiver? that actually makes it even worse than what ended up really even happening.
Yep. Alright.
Let's get to the stud and dud.
Alright, I'll start with my dud. So, my dud is going to be the Bills fans' reaction after Billy Bean traded down in the draft to KC to let KC draft Xavier Worthy and potentially hand KC a weapon that they can use to beat the Bills with. And then my stud is Brett Veach doing his job again, getting a few steals in the draft, not including Xavier Worthy, but you had Jaden Hicks, the safety. You had the tackle in the second round, and then the fourth round you had the tight end, and then you had a few other guards and whatnot that we needed. So great job, Brett Veach. You did it again. All right, Spinnis. There you go.
All right. Here's where I am at. My honorable mention for the stud is the Michigan UFL player Jake Bates as the kicker. Has made 5 field goals from 50 plus this season, including 3 out of the 5 being from 60 or more. My stud, though, goes to a perfect prank job from Shohei Ohtani to his manager, Dave Roberts. Well, Dave Roberts was also saying, it was like, oh, if Shohei passed it's like, he's got to buy me a Porsche. You did a Porsche all right. Unfortunately, that thing does not have an engine, does not have a proper engine, and was done to a much, much smaller scale. It ended up being a toy Porsche. After Shohei passed his manager's record for most home runs by a Japanese-born player who ended up playing for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Granted that number was also not very high to begin with, as Dave Roberts only had 8, and Shohei has just hit 10. But for Shohei to make that pass and just troll his manager, baseball is full of some quirky things anyway. This was pretty hilarious. And speaking of quirky baseball things, the dud for the week and dummy of the week, this was submitted by our main man, Alex Man, the graphics guy, as there was an unfortunate goose who ended up deciding, I'm going to fly into Comerica Park. He was chased by the Tigers ground crew and had a clean getaway. All he had to do was just fly and get more altitude, and he'd had a clean getaway out of there. Instead of flying up, he tried to fly a bit more out. Goose, scoreboard, collision course. And down went the goose. Like, in the most anticlimactic of fashions, and even the tweet that it was had on it that Alex Man submitted to us said that you're not mentally ready for it. Like, it was such an abrupt and scary collision that the goose all of a sudden just ran himself into the scoreboard. Basically, it felt like he electrocuted himself as he went down too. Like, it was just scary, but at the same time, it's like it probably was honking the whole way, and probably just trying to honk the whole way, and nothing cleared itself out. Irresistible force meet immovable objects.
Yep, and it sounds like that goose needs Aflac after that.
Ruckus, you realize that Aflac mascot is not a goose.
Doesn't matter.
It is a duck.
It does not matter in my mind. Alright, anyways, I guess
As Ruckus goes and quacks under the pressure, take us out.
I hate you. Anyways, thank you guys, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to the Ruckus and the Menace Sports Podcast, episode number 97. This has been a Ruckus and the Menace Sports production. I'm Ruckus, always causing a ruckus.
And it's clear to say this, we broke him. And I'm Spence the Menace.
See y'all later.
Alright. Deuces.